Welcome. We're going to do a penny boat lab today. On the bottom is kind of the criteria that we want you to do. It does say on the other side, so no need for another piece of paper. But when we are looking at this, it does talk about getting a piece of aluminum foil that's 30 centimeters by 30 centimeters, which just for the record is 12 inches by 12 inches. So you're going to go through and we are going to do a calculation very similar to the penguin problems that we've done in class. So you're going to take a piece of aluminum foil, you're going to make a boat out of your piece of aluminum foil, and you are going to test how many pennies your boat can hold, as well as calculate how many it should be able to hold. So then we'll be able to do a percent error calculation of how many it can actually hold versus how many it did hold. We're going to say that the mass of a penny is pretty standardized. They do vary different from year to year because prior to 1983, I think it was, they were pure copper, and then they put that zinc in the middle. I think in chemistry you guys did a lab with pennies, I think, because of that. So we're just going to pretend like they're all standard at 2.5 grams. All these need to be converted into these units, and that's what this is meant to help you with. So if it's 2.5 grams, you got to divide by 1 times 10 to the third. By the way, that's 1,000, and that'll give you how many kilograms a penny is. You got to find the mass of your boat. You're going to measure it in grams. You got to convert it to kilograms, and you got to determine the volume of your boat in milliliters, which is a little bit trickier one, because we need to get in that cubic meter thing. So once you go through and you build it, you figure out how much the volume that your boat is going to be the volume that your boat can displace. So the volume being displaced in our buoyancy equation is going to be the volume of your boat. You do need to take into consideration the mass of your boat, and then we will put pennies in it and see how many it will hold. Now this right here talks about theoretical and actual. It's experimental minus accepted divided by accepted times 100 is our percent error. Oops, you can't see that. Now I write it like that because that's what I have memorized, and I know that's not what's here. So let me just quick translate this. Theoretical is the accepted value. Your actual is the experimental. Okay, so what you actually got is from the experimental lab, where the theoretical is what we calculated as an accepted. That's accepted. Accepted. It didn't really help with me writing, but that's the idea. That's what the final calculation is going to be. So let me quickly give you the rundown. So you are going to take a piece of aluminum foil from our box. This is 12 inches already. So all we need to do is we need to measure approximately another 30 centimeters for 12 inches. And that looks pretty good right there. Oh yeah, sure is. And then you need to make a boat. Spare no expense, by the way. Heavy duty aluminum foil for helping up. There's my boat. Okay, you can fold it, you could tape it. Don't cut it and tape it, that's just a bad choice. But you need to make a boat. Depends on how fancy you want to get your boat to be. By the way, this works just fine. This is my boat. And what we're going to do is we're going to put pennies in it. I don't even know if I'm in the frame anymore. We're going to put pennies in it and eventually it's going to sink. Okay, now if I put 1,522, it won't be that many. But if I could hold 1,522 and it sank on 1,522, then it could really hold 1,521. That'd be the actual amount that we can hold. Okay, so when we talk about forces, the weight of the boat, the weight of X amount of pennies, buoyant force. So when we talk about the volume being displaced, we can go through and we can go through and we can figure out what is the volume of the boat. And the best way to do this is you take your boat, and we have some smaller bins, and we're gonna fill with graduated cylinder up to 100, and we're gonna fill the boat with water, okay? And then if it can still floating, you 100, you pour it in, and eventually it's gonna either sink, or it's gonna be right on that. In the past, I tried adding a little soap to make them sink. In the past, they haven't actually sunk because of like surface tension has actually held that aluminum foil like right on the surface. So people are like keep dumping water, and it's actually flowing back out the other side. So you're just kind of looking for it. And as you're filling it, you can kind of move it around too to try to like shift the water. And then that's gonna be how many milliliters. So it might be you had to do this twice. You can only go the 100-meter mark. 200, and now it's at 60, so I put in 240, and then it sank. And then you take your boat, and now it's full of water, so you do the best that you can and shake out all the excess water, because you want to try not to have it. Prior to doing that, you probably should have found the mass of it first, right? Dry aluminum foil would be good. Time to test. We're going to test in that fish tank, which is going to be over by the center sink. But the idea is you have a bunch of pennies, and I have some cheaters. I have these 50-gram masses. Each one of these counts as 20 pennies, okay? So we can kind of cheat. So we can go like 20, 40, kind of putting them in certain locations. At some point, what ends up happening more than it like sinks is it crumbles and then it sinks. But the idea, and then you go through and you count, and you count, and at some point it's going to go sunk, and that's how many pennies your boat can actually hold. Now your pennies are going to be wet and heavier, so we're going to try to get them a little bit drier. So we have a strainer that's going to be in this bucket. You put your wet stuff in here, and it will kind of work out. That's the activity. Calculation like this will be on your test that I plan on moving forward and cutting this unit off today. So they'll have something posted in Socrative. So then on Monday we'll test on a shortened version of this unit just so we can get into sound prior to building the canjos. So that's the plan, just for the record as well. Have a great day.